Hi, it's time for hanging out with Helen. Join me in my series in understanding and loving teens. In today's video, I'm going to talk about safe boundaries. Yes, safe boundaries. Now, what is a boundary? A boundary is a rule, a limit that you present in your interactions with other people. For example, in my house, I'll just tell you about, because this is about my life and my experience, and I want other parents who have small children to benefit. So, for example, I had a rule in my house. If you put food on your plate during dinner time, because everyone served themselves. So if you put food on your plate and you did not finish, well, we cover it and you finish tomorrow morning. That means whatever we are having for breakfast, you will have it after you finished your food from last night, because it's you who put it on the plate. So that was a rule in my house. What you put on your plate, you have to finish. Another rule, as my teen grew up, they are those we call sleepovers. So for her to invite someone to come sleep in our home, I had a rule that I have to speak to your parent, and vice versa. If she was going to this home for a sleepover, I needed to know who the parents are. Also, I had a limit to what time they come home. So her curfew was 6 o'clock. So after 6 o'clock, that was consequence was there, and that was just a set boundary that if you are coming home past 6 and you never communicated, then there is this consequence. Then I had also another rule at the mall. If you are meeting your friends at the mall, communicate when you are on the way going. We thank God for technology, for phones, mobile phones. When I grew up, there was no mobile, so there was no way I could do all these things that they do. But anyway, on her way there, she needed to communicate to me. She's on her way. When she reached there, communication, I'm here. When she's leaving, I'm leaving. That could give me a sense of, she's here and all that, just as a parent. So those were my rules and my limits in my life and in the life of my teen. Now she's an adult. So why are boundaries important? Why do you think boundaries are important? That should be the question. Boundaries are important because these boundaries will help our teens know that we care about them, because we are concerned about them even when they are not around. Like I said, when they are at the mall, let them know where they are. Let them communicate to you where they are. So that brings that then explains that you care and you are concerned as a parent. Another thing is that healthy limits prepare them for the real world. What do I mean by this? When now they are finished high school and they go to university, that is now their real world starting to actualize itself on them. So when my child grew up and it was time to go to university, just because she grew up with these boundaries and rules and limits, it really helped her, because she was already disciplined in herself, and so it was so difficult for her to miss class. It was so difficult for her to be disrespectful of other people and people around her. So this really prepared her to be good of herself when she went to campus, and just even her coming back to tell me, like, Mom, people do not have boundaries. I was like, boundaries. So healthy boundaries actually prepare them for the real world, and I'm grateful that I was able to prepare her for what was waiting for her out there. Boundaries also teach them some discipline, like I've just said, she was disciplined. And then also, boundaries create a sense of protection and respect. And okay, I'll talk about my dad. I grew up in the rural area, and my dad had a curfew for us as girls, because he had 5 girls, that we should be home by 6. And I kept on wondering, 6, it's still light, we are still playing with other people, why 6? And I think that was his boundary to protect his girls. I don't know from what. I don't know if there were bad people in the village, but just coming now as an adult to think about it, where I grew up, there were like little stones, they're still there, little stones on the road, and we were barefoot. And I think now as an adult, I look back and I'm like, oh, he was protecting us from coming home in the dark. We would hit our toes on the stones and we would get hurt. So now I understand he was creating that boundary so that he would protect our little feet and, just be safe. So thank you, Daddy. Rest in peace. So how do we create these boundaries? So remember your role as a parent. You are there to keep them safe. Like I said, my dad was keeping us safe. You are to meet their needs and shape them to be the adults. How to create boundaries also is be consistent with your rules, and this one I'll pin it to like the rule in my house: if you didn't finish your food, then you ate it for breakfast. I liked it when it was ugali and skuma and someone didn't finish, so then they started the day with ugali and skuma when other people were having eggs and bacon. That was funny. But I was consistent, so be consistent with your rule. So the rule in my house, if you didn't finish your food, you would eat it for breakfast. It happened for quite some time because they thought, Mom is just joking, she will forget about the rule and we can have whatever is for breakfast. No, if you didn't finish your food, I was the first one to wake up to make sure that my rule is going to take place, and I'm going to make sure that your leftover food, you are going to eat it. So as a parent, be consistent. Another way is be firm, stand your word. And that's what I did. I was firm. And also being firm means that you don't just come up with something that you will not stand firm to. So make a rule that you will follow through with it. So be firm. Be clear on what is expected of them. Like, make sure they know ahead of time what the rule is, what the limit is, what is required of them. Make it clear so that they understand what you mean. You mean by creating that rule. Like when they are going out with their friends, make it clear that you need communication. So it's clear, even as she's leaving the house to go, she has the clear understanding that communication is required of them. So make it as clear in the simple language that they understand as possible. Be empathetic, because they can run late like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You know, their phone can run out of battery. There is traffic jam in towns. Anything can happen. So understand them, listen to them, let them come and talk so that you know and understand why they came home late. So listen to what they have to say and try to understand. And by this, I don't mean that consequences will be eliminated. Everyone wants to be understood. Even you as a parent, you want them to understand you. So listening and understanding is the right thing to do, so that you can, from listening, you can go forward with the consequence. And many times mine would come home 10 minutes late, or an hour late. So I would just, based on how the lateness has come, I consider so many factors. Did you communicate? All those factors as a parent come in, and the consequence might increase or might decrease, because you are the parent, you are the one with authority, and so you can decide. Yes. I like this one. This one is letting natural consequence happen. What do I mean by this? Allow them to make their choices, and let them have the consequence based on the choice that they made. Because remember, you are not going to be with them and guide them when they go out there as they've grown like into young adults. So let them make their choices and have their consequences at the same time. Also, on how to create safe boundaries, have self-control. What do I mean by this? Don't take everything personal. When they grow up, they want to be independent. So when they want to move out of the house, don't take it so personal. Have some self-control. It's painful as a parent when your young adult moves out, but have self-control. Like for me, when she moved out, it's painful, but you are letting her also go and grow and be on her own and create her own life. So she's not just, a child is not just going to exist by being around you. They will somehow go and live on their own. So don't take it personal. Have some self-control there. Model respect to your teen. This means that they are watching you in the house. They're watching you how you treat their dad, how you treat other siblings. They're watching you how you treat even the house help, even the gardener, even the watchman at the gate. So model respect in order to get respect from this teen. An example I would give is, in all places that I've stayed, I've always respected the people who open gates for us. And so I would even stop to greet them and to just know how they're doing. And I can see my young adult still doing the same. When she comes home to visit, she greets the guards at the gate. So I know that is how I created and modeled the respect she has even for the people outside. Thank you for hanging out with Helen. Please like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. See you next week as we understand and love our children. Cheers.